Are the LA fires a way to usher in Smart LA 2028, Smart Cities, as part of Los Angeles ahead of the 2028 Los Angeles Olympics? As far as theories go, this is one that we need to consider. One that I think is possible. And at this point, almost anything's possible. Like if somebody says, "Oh, it's the aliens," okay, I'm not going to take that one. That one to me is not possible. If you were to say it's some variation of aliens or fake aliens that are whatever, okay, maybe we'll listen to that. But I haven't really heard too much of that one yet. What I have heard are theories, and I would say the most prominent theory, and this is one that falls under the mainstream ideology. It's that maybe one of the fires was started as a result of something natural or accidental, and then the other fires that sparked up were just crazy people in LA doing what crazy people in LA do, which is to try to sow additional chaos, whether through mental illness or demonic possession or whatever. They're just like, oh, there's a fire, let's start another one over here. We do know, I think that I'm at about 99% sure that some, if not most, if not all of the fires that are going or have been going in Los Angeles are man-made. I don't believe that this is just random. If you look at the map, it doesn't appear to be just random. Oh, just so happened that power lines down here and fireworks over there, and they're trying to throw that out as the likely scenario, but it's just not. It's not. I'm very, very sure in my assertion that some, if not most, if not all, of the fires were lit intentionally by human beings. The question is why. So is it possible that these are just LA being crazy LA? Yes, that's definitely possible. And that seems to be, if it is demonstrated that arson is the cause of so many of these fires and that is forced to be revealed publicly, then they'll attribute it to craziness. They won't ever go into a coordinated plan or a conspiracy, because such things are anathema in legacy media, and they'll point to people like me and say that we're crazy. Option number two, possibility number two, this is one that I did a very long segment about last week, as a matter of fact, is that this is a guerrilla warfare attack. Now, people will say terrorist attack, but that's not the case. There's a very big difference between terrorism and guerrilla warfare. With terrorism, the terrorists want people to know that they're attacking. They want to take credit for it. They want to maximize casualties, not necessarily destruction. Destruction is great as long as it's on a grand scale to them. But really, what they want to do is kill as many people as possible, and they want to take credit for it, and they want to threaten more similar attacks in the future. That's the idea of a terrorist attack. Whereas with guerrilla warfare, they don't want people to know that it was done intentionally. They don't want people to know that they're going to do it again. They want to cause as much chaos and damage as possible. Casualties are secondary. If they get casualties, they're okay with that. If they don't get casualties, they're not, or they don't care either. Either way, I should say. What they want is to attack, weaken us, weaken the nation in preparation for future bigger attacks. And I think that's also a very distinct possibility. Could it be the globalists, or we can call it the climate change hoaxers, or whatever? Call them whatever you want. Different motivations around that concept, but could they be out there trying to blame this on climate change and continue to highlight how we need to do this, do that? Donald Trump is the bad guy, and we need people like Gavin Newsom in office. That is also a possibility. But then there's the darkest one, the most evil, I would argue, and that's the idea that this is all a setup for rebuilding Los Angeles, or at least good chunks of Los Angeles, as smart cities and having it spread out from there. It's a heck of a lot easier to rebuild after you clear away debris than to try to convert a pre-existing building or a pre-existing city block or a pre-existing city, rebuild it in the vision of what they have for Smart LA 2028. They want it to be a smart city. They want it to be the smart city, like one of the American prototypes, so to speak. They already did this on a small scale, I believe, with Lahaina in Maui, Hawaii. That was slated to become a smart city. And it sure was convenient for them that, instead of having to go through and make deals and spend years, even decades, trying to get it switched over. Well, this sort of wiped the slate clean with, of course, the fires that devastated Lahaina. Now, which is why it's funny, maybe not funny, definitely not funny, but it's crazy that Gavin Newsom, over the weekend, made a statement that caught a lot of people's attention for two different reasons. Number one, caught our attention because he looks like an idiot doing his little dance. But number two, it caught our attention because he's apparently been in contact with the governor of Hawaii, talking about rebuilding efforts, talking about prospectors coming in and how to situate the land for appropriate land use and this, that, or the other. And this is, I'm pulling this out of context, but just so that you understand the context before. He's talking about the rebuilding process and everything that they're already doing to get that rolling. And during this rebuild process, I assure you, they will, they already are, talking about rebuilding these portions of Los Angeles better than they were before. In other words, they are already talking, without saying the words, they're already talking about SmartLA 2028. Watch this.
We're dealing with a myriad of issues. I was just talking to Josh Green, the governor of down in Hawaii, who had some ideas around some land use concerns he has around speculators coming in, buying up properties, and the like. So we're already working with our legal teams to move those things forward, and we'll be presenting those in a matter of days, not just weeks.
It's funny because that clip did go viral on X, but for mostly the wrong reasons. I would say that there were a handful of people that caught on to his statements regarding, moving legislation forward and talking about executive orders and talking to the governor of Hawaii and all that stuff. But most people were just focused on the shimmy, that weird shimmy that he did, and wondering what kind of dance it was, and is he on drugs and what, We are so easily distracted. Which brings me to another quick point. Before we move on, I want to highlight a notion that I see spreading, and I don't understand why. So a lot of people are saying, this is it. This is Gavin Newsom's swan song. He's done with politics. Once he is out, if he's able to survive until the next governor of California comes in, because he's being term limited out, if he's able to survive until the 2026 election, then he's done after that. And that's ludicrous. Sorry. I know that's not popular to say. I know that I'm supposed to be out there and say, Gavin Newsom's done, but he's not. He's not. Right now he's in the mode of separating himself, using his hand motions that he likes to do to separate himself from the local issues and to focus on recovery and to focus on stopping the fires and to this, that, or the other, right? This is an opportunity for Gavin Newsom. Okay? This really is. We might not look at him and not believe him when he says, that everything, the state reservoirs were done, everything that we could possibly do. We don't believe him when he says that. But people in Los Angeles, a lot of them do. Not all of them, but a lot of them do. People in California, a lot of them do. But over time, more and more will, because he's going to reinforce this. He's going to shift the narrative from, hey, here's a guy that needs to resign. That's what people are calling for now. To within a couple months, a year, maybe even a year and a half, 2 years, the narrative will be shifted to, wow, here's the guy that was thrust into a bad situation that wasn't his fault, and he's really helped to rebuild and solidify California and Los Angeles as a result of this. This guy's demonstrating leadership. Look, Gavin Newsom is one of the most talented politicians that I've ever seen. He's a horrible leader. His policies are awful. Okay? He's a horrible person. But when it comes to politics, when it comes to the art of building narratives and winning elections, he's a master at it. We have to assume that. We also have to take into consideration how quickly narratives can change and how short of memory people have. Maybe you're not one of those people. I know I'm not. I try to remember everything. But there are a vast majority of Americans will just move on to the next news cycle. It's funny because one of the reasons that I do the show the way that I do it now is because I didn't want to be beholden to the news cycle. And yet it appears that because my focus has been on more biblical and more conspiratorial, well, we've just had a whole lot of both faith-driven and conspiratorial news popping up ever since I made the shift, you know. I guess it's to be expected because the election is over. Now there's a lot less talk about just direct politics and more talk about crazy things, right? That's good. I'm glad. I want less politics. But it seems as if I keep getting sucked in. But here's the thing. I want you to remember, just as an example of how short-term our memories are and how easy it is to take us from one subject to the next. You know, we have the LA fires. That's obviously the big news right now. But just prior to the LA fires, the big news that were the two attacks on New Year's Day. And all of us were up in arms. We were like, oh, you know, is the Vegas guy still alive? Did he really do this? What about he's saying that he knows something about the drones? He's doing this. We were all about that. And all of a sudden, poof, it's gone. Prior to that, if you recall, there was talk about this mystery fog, right? That continued for a little while. And that wasn't big news, but there was a lot of people discussing it, as well as the drones. The drones around Christmas and just before Christmas. For about a month, drones over New Jersey, that was a big news. And all of a sudden, poof, it's gone. And here at some point, maybe this week, maybe next week, but at some point in the very near future, the stories, the discussions, everything about the LA fires will also be gone. It will be replaced by whatever the big news of that moment is. You know, we've got 1 week until Donald Trump is officially inaugurated, Lord willing. No shenanigans happen between now and then. We have 1 week until that happens, and then once it does, we can expect more of the same, more crazy things. Not more of the same from him. I'm saying more of the same, more shifting in the narratives, more shifting of the dialogues. The news cycle will be swaying, moving, and all of a sudden, this idea that Gavin Newsom is toast will be replaced by what is Gavin Newsom doing to fix this, and then it will be replaced by what is Gavin Newsom doing to rebuild, and that will be replaced with, Gavin Newsom's doing a pretty darn good job of getting this rebuilt. And then all of a sudden, it'll be 2026, and people will be talking about what is Gavin's next move. And I don't know what his next move is, but there will be a next move. I don't think that he's going to pull a lot of candidates, a lot of presidential candidates, when they leave office, whether it's governor or senator or whatever, they'll take a couple of years. Okay, Hillary Clinton did this. Take a couple of years of basically doing nothing before announcing their candidacy. And that doing nothing is trying to stay in the spotlight. That doesn't usually work, to be clear. Okay? People don't. That hasn't been an effective plan for a long time. And I think that if Gavin Newsom could run again for California governor, he would do it and then immediately start his presidential campaign for 2028. But I don't think obviously that can't happen because he's being term limited out. So he's going to be doing something big and in the public eye, and as soon as he is out of office. And that will all coincide with shortly thereafter, the announcement that he's going to be running for president of the United States. The idea that Gavin Newsom is toast, as much as you don't want to hear it, it's not true. It's not true. If anything, as a Democrat, as somebody who can play the victim card and talk about misinformation and disinformation and vast right-wing conspiracies and all this other stuff, he'll be just fine. And that's very sad. And I'm okay. Well, it's sad, but I'm okay with that. Look, I am the party of wokeness. If their next presidential candidate is another straight white male, rich businessman, plutocrat, relative of Nancy Pelosi, part of the Democrat establishment, that would be just beautiful because they don't realize it yet, and I don't know if they ever will. They don't realize that their wokeness is why they keep losing. It helped them for a little bit, but those days are behind us. But I don't want to get into the politics. Bottom line is this. Taking this back to the beginning of the segment. Is it possible that these fires were started in an effort to clear the path, to make it much, much easier and much quicker for them to turn Los Angeles into the smart city capital of the United States, if not the smart city capital of the world? And I would say the answer is, if they didn't plan it, it certainly is awfully convenient for them to be able to take advantage of it now. Let's spread the truth together. You can connect with me on X at JD Rucker, or you could subscribe to my Rumble channel, jdrucker.com/rumble, jdrucker.com/rumble.